Hello, everybody.
Hello.
My name is Ivory, and this is my first time here hosting. So if I, fumble and fall, you'll all help me out, I'm sure, right? So welcome to the Center of Love. This is just a beautiful place, beautiful family, beautiful welcoming people that call us here every second Sunday to reflect on that center in us, which is love, eh? So we get to do that together, and that's a beautiful thing. It feeds one another, eh? So great to be here. An elder was told by another elder, Stan McKay, before we talk about the earth, before we talk about anything sacred, we must pray. So I thought today it's a special day, Day of the Dead. Sherry will guide us in. So let's bow our heads and take a moment, remembering. First of all, we want to remember the Coast Salish people. We thank you so much that we get to stand on this holy ground this day. Forgive us for not knowing all the tribal names, a large territory, but we welcome all of you here this day, brothers and sisters. We welcome also and give thanks for our own blood ancestors, all those that have gone before us. We remember you this day, how happy we are that we joined together. We also remember our spirit kin, often comes from our own blood ancestors. But come, O spirit kin, our guides, our helpers, guardians, angels, little ones, come and be with us this day. Open a divine window that we may connect. We want to welcome in and thank all of creation, the two-legged, all those that soar, all those that swim in the sea, all those that crawl, all of the beautiful ones that encompass all of our beautiful Mother Earth. We welcome you and thank you today. Come and bless us with your medicine. And so we say, ho.
Oh.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So introducing Sherry Morgan, and I'd like to say, first of all, I met Sherry many years ago. She was giving a retreat, but I never thought to really meet Sherry because I was really inner focused, which is what it was. But then Sherry, a couple of weeks ago, I guess, texted me, "Can we have tea? Sure, came over. Would you introduce me?" And I think I said it, but I certainly thought it. How can I introduce you? I don't know you, right? And for the next while, Sherry began to, what I call the sacred map, we each have one. She began to kind of weave some of that beautiful thread she had lived before me. And I realized that she was opening, the layers we open up to be known. And that's part of our deepest humanity, is to allow ourselves to be known. So that was beautiful that Sherry, I could see, was allowing herself to be known. So I feel like we'll just keep becoming known to one another, right? So I want to read this, what Sherry wrote. Traditional cultures live in harmony with nature much more so than our modern Western culture does. Their fiestas and ceremonies are steeped in the recognition of spiritual influences. Are these traditions quaint, as some modern observers say, or are they powerful and deeply effective? Are these fiestas and ceremonies part of their commitment to live in harmony with nature? Sherry will speak to us today about one particular fiesta that is imminent in many parts of the world, ceremonies to honor the dead. So this for me is a very special day to remember the ancestors. It's a we live in a culture that often doesn't want to look at this, talk about this. It's not our favorite subject for some reason, but in our ingenuity, we know that we must connect with those who've gone before us. It's our life force that continues their life force. So it's a beautiful thing. And I think it's so important what Sherry is bringing to us today. So the room is not as full, but it's full because they're all here with us, because it's a very important time in our cult, in our world, and in this, well, the culture that Sherry will bring us to. So I feel as though Sherry will be opening a gateway for us to be feasted. This is a time where our ancestors want to speak to us, want to join with us, want to celebrate with us, and sometimes grieve, we have losses too. But so very important day. I'm so honored and blessed, Sherry, that you're bringing this to us. And I feel very, what is it? I know that Sherry's capable because of the weaving she shared, been in Mexico, Day of the Dead. Oh, lucky you. But today we'll be lucky, so.
Thank you, Ivory, so much for that beautiful introduction and for dressing up for the occasion today. Looking very Mexican festive. And I wore my little Mexican shirt for the occasion. So it's time for the dead. I'm sure you've noticed that leaves are dying on the trees and falling. Plants are dying or going dormant. I'm sure you've noticed that the animals are quieter. Life in general is quieter. Have you also felt more tiredness yourself? Anybody? Been feeling tired lately? Needing more sleep? Have you been feeling more hungry lately? I have. I think it might be that we need to fatten up for winter. For the hibernation or something. So nature is continually informing us how to live in harmony with her, if we're paying attention. So this is not a time of year for forging ahead with new projects or pushing to get, something accomplished. It's more a time of year. It is a time of year for completing things, for endings, for maybe clearing things out, or clearing up or clearing out. And harmony support and nature supports this. I read a study recently, or I guess an experiment that was done recently that was disturbing. So people gave growth hormones to trees to see if they, at this time of year, to see if they would grow during the winter, continue to grow during the winter. And they indeed did continue to grow during the winter. However, the next year, all of those trees died. We need our rest too. We're part of nature. Nature needs a break. We need a break. So traditional cultures also organize their calendars with nature. This is not so much the case with our modern Gregorian calendar. Some people suggest that those that created the Gregorian calendar created it partly with an intention to keep us from not living in harmony with nature. Be that as it may, it certainly doesn't honor nature. It doesn't suggest a time for harvest, a time for growing, a time for sowing, a time for, all the different things that nature allows for us. I found this lovely quote by Rilke. If we surrendered to Earth's intelligence, we could rise up rooted like trees. So In traditional cultures, they recognize that this time of year is the time when the veil between the earth plane and the realms beyond is the thinnest. So around the world, traditionally, and still in many parts, people honor the dead and invite the dead to visit at this time because this veil is thinnest. They also use this time of year to send the more recently deceased up from the earth plane through the veil with their ceremonies and traditions. So, for instance, in Poland, November 1st is what they call Remembrance Day. And they honor and pay respects to the dead, not just the war dead, like our Remembrance Day, but all the dead. People remember their deceased loved ones, visit their grave sites, and commune with them. In the Celtic tradition, Samhain, which translates as summer's end, is celebrated for 3 days with big bonfires. November 1st is the main day. Samhain has been celebrated since the time of the Iron Age, around 3,000 or 4,000 years ago. At Samhain, also called All Hallows, Celts and Druids celebrate death and rebirth. In particular, they pay homage to the loved ones who've passed away recently. They invite the spirits of the recently departed to rejoin the living during the festival. They make faces out of hollowed pumpkins and gourds. For a time, there was another kind of ceremony in the Celtic Druid circles they called souling. And souling is when the poor would beg for pastries from the wealthier people on November 2nd. Souling is, and in exchange for these pastries, the financially poor but spiritually rich, recognized as such, would pray for the deceased of those donors, wealthier donors. That was the exchange. Souling is likely the origins of our current trick-or-treating practices. So in Mexico and Guatemala and other many Latin American countries, Dia de los Muertos, as we were introduced to by the what do you call those?
Muppets.
Muppets.
Call those guys.
Sesame Street Muppets. Dia de los Muertos has been celebrated for at least 3,000 years. In all these parts of the world that I'm talking about, by the way, they now call it All Saints Day and All Souls Day because I think in line with there's a lot of power when we're living in harmony with nature. We live with a great deal more power. And I think the church wanted that power for themselves, but I don't want to get too political here. So I'm just saying, these traditions are ancient, and I'm inviting us to bring them back. So Day of the Dead begins at sunset on October 31st and ends at the end of the day on November the 2nd. It's a very community festive occasion. It's not a macabre event. It's mostly a celebration, celebrating and visiting, communing with the dead and helping them. So there are community altars everywhere. There are parades and events, very, very colorful, like ivory. Offers and prayers are made to welcome the spirits of the departed. The events to honor the dead are very festive. So each year has a special, each area in Mexico or Guatemala has a special way of honoring the dead, but there's similarities all over. So similar would be the day and the time and the many, many, many flowers, many, many, many candles, incense, food offerings, altars, probably skulls, sugar skulls, ceramic skulls, decorations, kind of like this one, And both Ivory and I brought a skull. I guess, I don't know, maybe I could just turn the camera.
Poor hair.
Going to just our little skulls down there. There we go. So in some towns, the city's band or the town band leads a parade of the citizens to the cemeteries. And I've seen people carrying bundles of flowers that are so big, they're bound. They're so big they can't get their arms around them. And other people carrying many, many candles, food offerings, incense probably, and maybe blankets because they stay out a long time at the night in the cemetery. Later, you'll see some pictures. The vendors, truck vendors, come and line the perimeters of the cemetery so that people can feast and enjoy hours in community at the cemetery. It's very typical for people to build altars at home so that they can honor the deceased loved ones in their own family or friend group. And those altars also would have flowers, candles, incense, food offerings, especially food and beverages that the deceased really loved. And those candles would burn all day and all night. In one town I visited, if you saw a marigold flower petal path from the street leading to the front door of the house, that was an invitation to come and pay respects because someone had died in that household, had died within the previous year. Whether you were stranger or kin or friend, didn't matter. As you approached the house, they'd greet you with a hot chocolate or hot cup of tea, perhaps. And inside, there was this very special little setup. They would take a table and decorate it or set it up like it was a bed. A picture of the deceased at one end, a pair of their shoes at the other end, and padded in between as though there was a body in between. Mm-hmm. And they would pay special respects to this person and send love and so on, and invite them to travel to the realms beyond because it's thinnest, the veil at this time, and it's easier to do that. I have felt the energy of the deceased in those situations. In one case, very, very strongly. As far as I know, communities all over Latin, well, certainly Mexico and Guatemala and other parts of Latin America, celebrate together as a community event with altars, festivities, parades, music in town squares. It's a big community event. And certainly it honors the time of year. So All Hallows in the Celtic tradition maintained a spiritual nature for centuries. In our culture, gone are the spiritual aspects of Halloween. Halloween is that word comes from All Hallows. So instead, our Halloween is replaced with, yes, we've got some skeletons and things, but mostly it's trick-or-treating, scary movies, and costumes. But carved out pumpkins are still a remnant of the Celtic traditions as well. So one thing I want to emphasize is that this is a year where I believe we're the most vulnerable, emotionally, physically. I've certainly noticed if I'm going to get sick, like with a cold or flu or something, it's most likely going to be this time of year. So a big invitation I have for you is to take very, very good care of yourselves. It's time to winterize, like you'd winterize your car. ditch your ice cream and your raw salads and eat warm, nourishing, healthy foods, get more rest. So I think it's time to show you some slides to appreciate this love fest for the dead. Oops, that's the end.
Yeah, you gotta hit the.
There we go. Dia de los Muertos. And even the sign is so festive. So this would be an example of a community altar celebrating the dead.
What's it called?
And these next, this one and the next two are cemeteries, and how the flowers and candles and people sit with the dead in community at this time of year and commune with the deceased loved ones.
It's a little cramped in there.
And there's the festive parades.
Sherry, I'm not getting the image.
Oh,
I'm still on the Dia de los Muertos with the big
Uh-oh.
screen. Just the tiny little vignettes for the others.
okay, hold on. Let's see if we
Let me
can fix
figure
that.
this out. Yeah.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you. Oh geez. This is it right here, I think. Let's try that again. How about
Okay,
now?
trying again.
No, now you're seeing
There
it.
it is. Yeah,
There's-
it's up on the phone.
Thanks, Kim.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
good call, Kim. So the cemeteries,
That's the
another
one right there.
cemetery. And the parades, the community parade. This is an actual skull. The Huichol people of Mexico are famous for their beadwork. So that's beading that they put on an actual skull.
Would that have been a relative?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
And then there's all kinds of really fancy. Oh, that's supposed to be last, but look,
Apologies.
there we go. We'll just keep going and.
That was the last one.
Oh dear, there was more than that. Oh, you know what it was, because after okay, sorry. So
Okay.
other images that I put together later and put into a slideshow, Ollie couldn't play on his computer, so we got the shorter version, but that's all right.
All is one except PCs and Macs. They're not one.
They're not,
part,
that's
they're not
right.
part of the mystical union of all things. Unfortunately, they are diametrically opposed. So I do apologize for that.
All right, well, that gives you a flavor anyway for the festivities and honoring of the dead. So I have two invitations for you all and a handout if anybody's interested. So one is to allow this energy of completion to work its magic on you. Use this next 10-day period in particular to complete projects, to clear out cupboards, to eat very, very healthily, get more rest and sleep, maybe commune with people, celebrate together, have conversations with people you haven't talked to for a long time. And invitation number 2 is to please will you join me in bringing back the sacred to All Hallows. Create your own ceremony to honor the dead, people in your life. I've written out a few little instructions, but I don't need to. Well, I could because of the people online. So you could create a simple altar with that image that Ollie showed was mine from last year. And I celebrated the dead with two of my friends. Corey was one of them. And we each had a plate where we could put little candles and photos of the people that we wanted to honor that had died in our own life, from our own lives. And that in the background there is a pumpkin I found at Thrifty's that had been painted to look like a skeleton. And flowers and incense. And I think we each lit a candle for each person we were honoring and placed it on the plate and let them burn out whatever number of hours it took to do that. And we shared with each other. So the important part is that we shared about the person that we were honoring. And the other two would be witness. And I've done this a number of times, and it's a sweet, sweet, sweet thing to do. So, and if anybody wants a little handout, I have some right here.
We can send out a digital copy as well.
I could send out a digital copy for anybody who wants.
Well, that was rich and beautiful, yes.
Yes.
On our side, well, what can I say? Deep, rich, lots to chew on and, really get nourished by those sit-ins together. Anybody on your side want to? Oh, where to start? It was such a beautiful, both Ivy and Sherry, like, oh my gosh. The insights and the opening it created and the discussion for taking the words and the interpretation and what's really right about everything, that the first response might be cultural appropriation. And we realized it's really cultural appreciation and how we can look deeper and expand, bring back the sacredness of these things, that even people coming into North America and seeing Halloween had never experienced any honoring of the dead, and that's a starting point, leaping point to begin that sacred journey. And just the culmination and combining, as Ollie said, and that words make such a difference, and how we get to celebrate and use and choose them and create from them our own rituals or ceremonies or routines, or how we give back to this world. So it was just beautiful. Brings up the alchemist in all of us, how we use our words. Thank you again, everyone.
Yes.
Should I be saying a little of ours, or?
Yeah, absolutely. If you
It
can.
was,
Yeah.
I mean, for us, I felt that we were a reliving of, some of those that have passed that we loved. So it was really rich and beautiful. I just want to thank everybody that was part of that and part of today, and all the new ones, so beautiful. Thank you, Sherry, opening this gate for us. I hope that it will continue to feed us. Our life is meant to feed something larger than us. So today we did that. We fattened our ancestors. Let's continue to do that until we meet again. And I thought I'd read from Sherry's book to end here. May your prayers of gratitude enhance the sacredness of all life for the benefit of all of our ancestors, all of our relations, all of life. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been a real honor to be here this day.